Hi, welcome to this Business Coach Kit training session. The workshop program is a valuable additional product line for your business. This session explains how to run an individual workshop. So at the end of this coaching session, you'll have learned how to prepare for and run an individual workshop. Running the overall workshop program is covered in a different training session. So the workshop consists of three elements. First, the surgery, where you deal with individual attendees' business issues. The main workshop, which is slides and exercises, and then finally action planning, where the attendees decide what things they're going to do in their business as a result of the workshop. Surgery is the first element you get to. Provides immediate value to clients if they come with a problem. You and the other attendees can work on that problem then and there. To give them a solution so they can take that back to their business. Also means if they have something that's preying on their mind, you can clear it out of the way so that they can actually concentrate on the rest of the workshop. Difficult to think about long term for your business if you've got an immediate issue that's worrying you. So the way the surgery works is, first of all, you ask attendees to shout out any problems or decisions they're facing at work. Note each one on the flip chart or whiteboard, and then when you've got one or possibly more from everyone, ask people which one they'd like to discuss. Now you might be able to get through more than one in the surgery. It depends what kind of problems are presented to you, but you need to prioritize the one that I think is really concerning someone, which is really significant, and or one that you think will offer the most learning, is most relevant to the rest of the people in the room. So you need to steer towards that. As I say, you may get through more than one if you can solve the first one quite quickly. So having chosen, or as a group chosen the issue that you want to discuss, you need to drill into it a bit. So you ask the owner, the person that put this forward, to explain things in a bit more detail, give you some background. And while they're doing that, encourage the other people in the room to ask clarifying questions. And as the nature of the problem or issue emerges, then often you'll find that people in the room have an opinion, have experienced something similar themselves, and they can contribute. So there's a learning, both for them and for the person with the problem. So your role is really just to steer the conversation, make sure it stays on track, and where necessary, apply your own experience and the systemization principles. So you should be able to provide some examples from your own experience where this sort of thing has happened and suggest ways they might think about this as a solution. In the Business Coach Kit workshop admin pack is this diagram. It's a problem solver. It's not necessary to use it. You can use it if you like. I think it helps to develop an approach to problem solving, which is really about stating the problem clearly. And often when stating the problem clearly, it kind of leads you fairly swiftly to a solution. So this is just a template you can use to help them state the problem clearly. There's guidance in the Business Coach Kit, but essentially you ask them to describe the problem. What are the symptoms? What are the dimensions of it? How often does it happen? What the impact is. So what's it doing that they're unhappy about? What are the results of this problem? Then work back from that to the cause. So what do they think is causing this problem? And then one more step back to the root cause and look then for interventions. What could they do to stop this happening or solve the problem? As I say, not necessary to use it, but it's there and can help clear roadblocks occasionally. If the the issue is a decision. So sometimes clients will be saying things like, I can't decide whether to hire this person or this role or not, or I can't decide whether to invest in this kind of marketing or not. Rather than a problem, it's a decision. Then you can use a simple kind of pros and cons list with them, or a cost benefit analysis if you've got to that in the coaching. So what's it going to cost you? What return are you going to get over what period? How does it fit with the plan? So sometimes decisions about hiring or spending are symptoms of them not really having a plan that's clear. So they don't have a framework for making that decision. They cannot see when the return is going to come in. So there you go. Two sort of things you'll be dealing with. One is a problem, the other is a decision. When you've done the surgery, finished the surgery, move on to the main workshop. So there's a slide deck provided for each of the 30 plus workshops with around 10 to 15 slides, and that should last about 90 minutes. So this 90-minute section of the overall workshop. And clearly, the slides provide structure to the workshop. They provide the basic knowledge, the theory, the point you're trying to get over. But attendees don't learn from listening to you talking and pointing at slides on a screen. They learn from doing exercises on their own business, interacting, applying the things you're talking about. That's when the messages sink home. So the slides are there to guide you through, not really to impart lots of knowledge to the attendees. Each workshop has a lesson plan. They all follow the same layout, but obviously the detail is different. And the lesson plan tells you when to use a whiteboard, when to introduce the exercises, the timings through the workshop so that you can keep on track. Obviously, you want to finish on time. So each exercise, explain it as you hand it out. The exercise will tell you, is it to be done individually or in a group? It tells you how much time is nominally allowed, and you need to adjust that to make sure you finish on time. But it gives you an idea whether it's a tricky exercise is going to take a while or quite a simple one that will just take a few minutes. And usually there's a brief and perhaps a table or something that explains what the exercise is. Obviously, before starting a workshop, you've rehearsed all of these exercises. You've gone through the slides, so you're really keyed up and have all the information about the exercises that are coming up. Almost every exercise requires feedback or suggests feedback at the end of it. So this is a really powerful part of the learning, where they're explaining how they got to what they got to, explaining to you and to the other groups in the room. Steer that, pick up on points where you can, once again, emphasize systemization principles, extract the key learning points from what they're doing. What you'll find through the workshops is that same points are made repeatedly from different angles, so that no workshop is an island. They're all part of this overall systemization approach. So you'll continue to find yourself referring to other workshops that you've done. So you draw this to their attention during the feedback. As I say, adjust the amount of time you allow for exercises and feedback so that you're watching the clock, making sure you're going to finish on time. At the end of the workshop, it's important that they take time to update their plan to include the actions, if any, that have come from the current workshop. There's a great temptation. They've by this stage been there nearly half a day, sort of several hours, almost at the end of the event. Great temptation for them to be rushing off back to work or home without doing this. So you need to be disciplined about this and make sure that they'll only get benefits from these workshops if they actually do something as a result. The final slide of each workshop has some suggested actions. Obviously, they're not won't be the same for everyone, but it suggests a way they could think about actions they might want to take in their business. And at this stage, you hand out a blank workshop monthly planner. So this is one that's got some test data in it, but you can see that there's a blank sheet there. And this is where they record any actions that they've decided to take as a result of the workshop. In actual fact, the problem will not generally be they can't think of any actions. The problem will be that they've got too many actions, too many things that they could do as a result of these workshops. And in order to control this, you need to bring them back to their strategic objectives. So they should all have a sheet that looks something like this. It's replaced and updated periodically. It should be looked at every month. But this is a sanity check. So if they're proposing to do 8 things as a result of your workshop, you need to come back to this, get them to come back and say, well, which strategic objective is this bringing you closer to? And if you're going to do those 8 things, what 8 other things aren't you going to do? Because otherwise, all you do is generate for them, reams of objectives, none of which actually get done, and the whole thing becomes very disheartening. So, yeah, it's quite difficult to get them to focus on this. Their energy will be low towards the end of the workshop, but it is really important. It's really is what they take away and use out of the workshop program. So while they're working through, they're revising the strategic plan, adding in any new actions, distribute any remaining handouts, distribute the feedback form as a feedback form in the pack that you need to get back, and it tells you, how you're doing, how the material's doing, whether they're finding it useful or not. So that's quite an important feedback loop. And remind them of the date of the next workshop. They're going to get a couple of other reminders before the actual workshop, but do it right now to get them to check this in their diary. So summary, the surgery at the top of the workshop provides immediate value, clears any issues, and allows them to focus on the workshop. It's also great fun, and everybody will learn, not just the person whose problem you've chosen. During the actual workshop, clients get most value from working on the topic with each other, and then in the feedback and the exercises, not from looking at slides and listening to you talk. Encourage them to take action as a result of the workshop, which is the only way they get value, and make sure that they don't kind of overload themselves with dozens of actions which won't get done. And to do this, encourage them to develop a coherent strategic plan through the program of workshops. Okay, that's it.